Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of our financial literacy podcast series called Central Sense, brought to you by the Office of Financial Literacy at Central. I'm your host, Kelly Perrotti, and I'm so excited to kick off this journey with you. This podcast is all about empowering students with the knowledge and tools to make smart financial decisions, whether that's understanding student loans, finding scholarships, creating personal budgets, or learning how to make your money work for you. Today, we're starting off with a topic that's incredibly important for everyone thinking about college funding, FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Joining me is Keri Lupachino, the Director of Student Financial Services, who brings a wealth of experience and insight to help us navigate the FAFSA process, avoid common mistakes, and make sure you're getting the most out of your financial aid opportunities. So whether you're applying for the first time or renewing your FAFSA for another year, this episode will give you the clarity and confidence you need to take that next step. Stay tuned. This is just the beginning of many conversations we'll have about financial literacy, scholarships, student loans, and everything in between. So Keri, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Cal.
Keri, what does the FAFSA stand for?
Yeah, so FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The key title in that is the key word in that title is free, and it is a free application and you should not pay to complete the FAFSA.
And when does the FAFSA open each year?
So typically the FAFSA opens on October 1st, but you do want to pay attention. Sometimes there can be a delay, but typically it opens on October 1st.
Okay. So when is Central's priority deadline for FAFSA submissions, and why is that important?
Yeah, so even though the FAFSA opens in October, you do have until March of the upcoming year to complete your FAFSA. And we do make that as a priority processing deadline. And why it's important is because as a state institution, we don't have an open bank of funding. So our funding goes very quickly. And if you don't make that March 1 priority processing deadline, you could lose out on what we call need-based aid, like scholarships, grants, pretty much the free money, which is what everybody wants.
Okay. So where do students complete the FAFSA form?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it is free. So you do want to make sure you go to the same website every single year, which is studentaid.gov. There are plenty of other websites out there that may charge students to do the FAFSA, so please only stick to the studentaid.gov.
Okay. And what credentials are required to log into the FAFSA website?
Yeah, so because it is an electronic application, you obviously can't physically sign it anywhere. So what they created is something called a FAFSA ID and a FAFSA password. So it's your username and password. So every person completing the FAFSA will need to have their own username and password.
Okay. So who is considered a dependent student?
Yeah, sure. So a dependent student is anybody under the age of 24.
Who are considered contributors on the FAFSA form?
So I'm going to actually read my notes on this one because it is a new regulation that I'm not 100% clear on, and I want to make sure that I do get it right for you because it is very tricky on this new FAFSA. So a contributor on the FAFSA is any individual required to provide information and consent on the form, which can include the student, their spouse, biological or adoptive parents, or a parent's spouse. All contributors must provide their own consent to have their federal tax information transferred from the IRS, complete their own sections of the form, and sign it to provide their own information. So who can be a contributor? Obviously the student. The student must provide their own information and consent. A student's spouse if they are married. Biological or adopted parents for a dependent student, so remember a student under the age of 24. Biological or adopted parents are required contributors. A parent's spouse, so a step-parent, is considered a contributor if they are married to a parent whose information is being reported on the FAFSA. And lastly, an invited person. A student or parent can invite another person to contribute to their information on the FAFSA form.
Okay, thank you. So when the student invites a contributor, what information do they have to provide?
It's so easy. All they need is their email address.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So if the contributor parents are married, how many parents should be listed as a contributor?
Just one.
Okay. If the parents are divorced, which parent should be listed on the FAFSA as a contributor?
Oh, unfortunately, it is the one parent who provides the most support to the student.
Okay. So how is the tax information added to the FAFSA?
It's really neat, actually. It's called the Direct Data Exchange. So the FAFSA and the IRS work together. Once you complete the Direct Data Exchange, the tax information automatically, electronically is transported right back onto the FAFSA for you. Sometimes you don't even notice that it happens, and you're like, did it work? It's that efficient. It's really cool.
Okay, excellent. So when that tax information is submitted over, which year's tax information is used for the FAFSA?
Yeah, so it's 2 years prior to the year that you're completing the FAFSA. It used to be, the year that you're completing the FAFSA, and because FAFSA comes out so early now, tax returns weren't prepared in time, people weren't meeting deadlines. So now it's 2 years prior to the year that you're completing the FAFSA.
Okay. And what does SAI stand for?
This is called the Student Aid Index.
And what factors determine a student's SAI or Student Aid Index?
Yeah, I'm going to read that too because it is a specific calculation, so I do want to make sure that we get it accurate. Students are assigned a Student Aid Index based on the following circumstances: their family income, net worth of assets, household size, and their marital status of parents and state of residence.
Okay. And how does a student's Student Aid Index, or SAI, affect their eligibility for financial aid?
Yeah, so typically the lower an SAI, the higher the eligibility. SAIs can range from a negative 1,500, which would be our highest, neediest student, and it can go as high as possible, which would be our lowest, neediest student.
Okay. And how does Central determine a student's financial need?
Yeah, so it is based off the SAI, and we want to make sure, again, that you meet that priority processing deadline of March 1. So as long as you have a low SAI, we have your FAFSA prior to the March 1 deadline. We will then determine your financial eligibility based off of those two factors.
Okay. And what are the main types of financial aid the students may receive?
Yeah, so you have the one that everybody wants, which is grants, the free money. Again, you have to have the financial eligibility, the low SAI. You have to have your FAFSA completed prior to March 1. There's scholarships. As incoming students, our admissions office reviews all our incoming, whether you're transfer grad or undergrad, for merit scholarships automatically. There's also plenty of scholarships that are out there on our own. Actually, one of our next podcasts that we're going to be doing will be discussing scholarships, so please make sure to tune in for that one. There's loans, which is borrowed money. Everyone typically is like, I don't want loans. We will offer every single student a student loan. It's their options if they want to decide to take it or not. And then there's federal work study, which is where a student gets a job on campus and we pay them for the hours that they work.
Okay. And when should the student review and take action on their financial aid awards?
As soon as possible. So even though the FAFSA comes out in March 1, the office will typically review incoming students first. They need to make their decisions usually by May 1st. So we'll review incoming students first, and then continuing students, which are students that are already attending the institution. We like to wait for grades to roll for that spring semester. So remember, the semester ends in May, so anytime after May, then we will start producing those awards for continuing students. We will email out notifications saying your award is ready and you need to go in and accept them as soon as possible.
Okay. And so since loans are part of the financial aid award package, if the student accepts their loans, when must the federal loans be repaid?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So there are two different types of student loans. There's a subsidized student loan, which is a need-based loan, and the student doesn't pay anything on that loan as long as they are in school. Repayment begins either 6 months after graduation, or if the student drops below half-time, which is typically if they drop below 6 credits, so by a withdrawal or just dropping a class. If they drop below 6 credits, their 6-month grace period starts, and then they would go into repayment. For an unsubsidized loan, though, that is a non-need-based loan, so the student is charged interest on that loan while they are in school. So once that loan is fully dispersed, which means fully paid out, they will start to receive interest payments from their lender. Now, typically, when the student is in school, sometimes they can't make those payments, right? They're not working, they don't have the income. So that interest is going to keep accumulating, and they're going to take that interest payment and they're going to tack it on to your principal amount, which is your main loan amount, and in 3 more months, you're going to get another interest payment. And it's going to tack on again. So you do kind of want to pay attention to if you're borrowing the unsubsidized student loan, because you will have interest on it. However, the principal does not need to be repaid until either 6 months after graduation or when the student drops below half-time.
Okay. Well, thank you. This was a lot of very important information. How does a student get in touch with the Office of Financial Aid if they have additional questions?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the financial aid office is available through the phone, and our main contact number is 860-832-2200. We also answer emails every single day, all day, which is FinAid, short for financial aid, FINAID at ccsu.edu. Our contact information is also available on our website, which is ccsu.edu/FinAid.
Okay. Thank you so much, Keri.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you for joining our first episode of Central Sense podcast. Hopefully, this makes sense.